Hello, this is Claus Jensen presenting the third video in my series on Capablanca. And this time we'll see a game which has been debated quite a lot over time. It was played as an exhibition match in Buenos Aires in 1911, and the opponent was an amateur player named Molina. I believe Molina was head of the Argentinian Chess Federation or something like that. In any case, he was no more than an amateur player. And for 40 years, or perhaps even more, this game was considered one of many Capablanca masterpieces. But then people started questioning the soundness of the sacrifice he brought in this game. I'm not quite sure of what to think of it, so now you have a chance to enjoy a beautiful game and judge for yourself if the sacrifice was sound or not. So let's have a look at the game where Capablanca had the white pieces, and it started d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, knight b d7, e3, c6, knight f3, bishop e7, c takes d5, and here Molina plays knight takes d5, should be better to take with the e-pawn, bishop takes e7, knight takes e7, bishop d3, c5, castles, castles, and Capablanca here takes on c5, and after knight takes c5, we reach this position where Capablanca think it's time to get the game going. So now he plays this very debated bishop sack. He plays bishop takes h7 check. And what follows in the game was king takes h7, of course, and knight g5 with check. And Molina rightly plays the only move, which is king g6, because king g8, then of course queen h5, and mate on the h7 can only be prevented by rook e8, and then Capablanca can take on f7, and the black position lies in ruins. So king g6 is the right move, queen g4, f5, queen g3, and now we reach a critical point of the game, because how is Molina to deal with the threat knight takes e6 check? It's a discovered check and losing the queen. So Molina of course has to do something. Some suggest king f6 here should be an improvement for Molina, but Capablanca would still have a promising attack after rook a to d1, queen b6 and e4. So I don't think king f6 is better than the move that Molina played in the game. But the best defense seems to be f4 in this position. And then after e takes f4, knight f5, queen g4, knight h6. A repetition is threatened if Capablanca keeps moving his queen back and forth from g3 to g4, and Molina can move his knight from h6 to f5. So Capablanca will have to try queen h4 to avoid this repetition. But now Capablanca's attack doesn't seem to have too much power here, so perhaps this is a way to refute this bishop sacrifice. But in the game, Molina played king h6 instead. And then followed queen h4 check, king g6, queen h7 check, king f6, and now Capablanca plays a very strong move, which is e4 here. Because now, if rook h8, then Capablanca has e5 check, and if king takes g5, then f4 check, king g4, h3, king g3, and knight e2 checkmate. So he will have to take on e5, but then would follow queen takes g7 check, king g6, and knight f7 check, losing the queen and losing the game. So that's the point of e4. So again, Molina chooses a good move. He plays knight g6, and in this position Capablanca plays e takes f5, which he knows himself is not the best move in the position, because now he no longer has this e5 threat. So much stronger in this position was to play rook a to d1 immediately. But e takes f5 and e takes f5, and now rook a d1, and now the threat is of course knight d5 check. And Molina again finds a good move. He plays knight d3, which both protects the queen which was attacked and covers knight d5 check. And furthermore, the threat from Molina now is rook h8, so Capablanca has to move his queen away, queen h3. And if now Molina had played knight g to f4, then he would still be in the game. But he made an error here by playing knight d to f4, and now he's in trouble, in fact, because after queen g3, queen c7, rook f to e1, he goes for an exchange of queens by playing knight e2 check, but it won't help him to exchange the queens, as we shall see very soon, because after rook takes e2, queen takes g3. First of all, here comes a nice little in-between move, Zwischenzug, knight h7 check, and after king f7, then Capablanca takes the queen, and after rook h8, knight g5 check, king f6, then Capablanca plays f4, and oops, all of a sudden the black king is caught in a mating net. There's no way to stop mating threats like rook d6 check or knight d5 check, both leading to a maiden one. And he can only draw out the game for a few moves, and therefore Molina resigned the game in this position. So Capablanca won this game where he played the, let's say, interesting bishop takes h7 sack. I think Molina had his chances of doing better, and perhaps the bishop sack wasn't completely sound. I would say it wasn't completely sound, but it led to some attack, and the real interesting point of the game was in fact the ending position where we see this very nice mating net on the black king, which is positioned in the middle of the board. And I don't think this is one of my favorite Capablanca games, but sometimes it's nice to see that the great masters didn't always play perfect chess. So I hope you enjoyed this game anyway, and I hope to see you on my blog at clausjensen.com. Bye bye for now.